impactful, because listen to this: if you want to worship God and get in the presence of God, you always get into an atmosphere of worship, so you tend to play worship music. At the same time, if you want to listen to if you want a party or you're having your friends over, you want to put some music which is hyped and pumped to create an atmosphere that suits that, that sort of event which you're having. So at the end of the day, music affects how we behave in spaces. So music is very impactful. And even like the way I've been doing, high school missions, I get to meet a lot of students, and most of them, they've gotten themselves into doing things that have been directly influenced by music that they're listening to. Like you find young kids are smoking because they're listening to music that has normalized, smoking, and normalized, sexual immorality, and music that is normalizing, being a gangster, being a bad person, being, venye wanasemanga kuwa mrui. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Kama, and thank you so much for subscribing, for tuning in, for commenting, for the support, for the love, man. I see y'all. If you're new here and this is your very first time, umekaribishwa sana. So on today's episode, man, we are going to talk about secular music. So does secular music affect our relationship with God? And I find this to be a very interesting topic because a lot of people feel many different ways and different sorts of, feelings towards this particular topic. But I, being a secular artist, formerly being a secular artist, I'm going to say this: yes, secular music does affect our relationship with God. And they always say this: whatever comes in, it's whatever you put out. And they say when it's just negativity coming in, negativity comes out. If you put positivity coming in, positivity come out. And I know we're not going to deal with every aspect of secular music, but I'm just going to share something light as per my walk with Christ to this point and some of my experiences regarding secular music. So when it comes to music, I tend to see or view music as being very spiritual. And this is what I mean. There's something about music, and when you listen to some sort of music, you get your emotions hapa kule. And there's music when you listen to, you feel all sorts of, manners. So music does directly influence and impact and get into yourself and get into your emotions. So there's music you can listen to and you become very aggravated or you become very mad. And there's music you can listen to and all of a sudden you're feeling all sorts of, sexual, all sorts of, in love, all sexual, all sorts of, wanting to get down. So music is very impactful. And even like the way I've been doing, high school missions, I get to meet a lot of students, and most of them, they've gotten themselves into doing things that have been directly influenced by music that they're listening to. Like you find young kids are smoking because they're listening to music that has normalized, smoking, and normalized, sexual immorality, and music that is normalizing, being a gangster, being a bad person, being, venye wanasemanga kuwa mrui. So you listen to music inasema manze mbogi, sijui ni nini, nikiwapata, ninavuruga, sijui nini. Then you start becoming these things, So for me, for the longest time, I didn't think music was that impactful until when I started to question my music as well. Because you see, when I was doing secular music, I used to promote, alcohol, promote drugs, and promote the party lifestyle, and promote a lot of sexuality. Because from the dancing, from how we are behaving in the movies, the clothes we are wearing in the music videos. So for the longest time, I thought it was just entertainment, but the more I grew, I came to realize most of the times we bring forth emotions in other people based on what we are saying. And music is very impactful because, listen to this, if you want to worship God and get in the presence of God, you always get into an atmosphere of worship, so you tend to play worship music. At the same time, if you want to listen to, if you want a party or you're having your friends over, you want to put some music which is hyped and pumped to create an atmosphere that suits that, that sort of event which you're having. So at the end of the day, music affects how we behave in spaces. And that's why when you go to clubs, like you find every hour has like a particular style of music that is played. When how people start in the club, it's not how it ends. It's always like shoo climax at 12 to 3. Then at 3, the music starts becoming kind of my pants, bedroom music. Like it's always a system. So what I can say, the music we listen to as Christians will directly influence our relationship with God. This music, when you listen to, it changes you to this other person that sometimes you push away the presence of God. And this music, when you listen to it, draws you closer to God. So when it comes to specifically secular music, it's very influential and very powerful. Same to Christian music. But I think we need to normalize having, great music, hype music, beautiful music, and normalize listening to correct content. Because I won't lie, if anyone sings about alcohol, about smoking weed and doing drugs and being a bad person, that's normal. We are used to hearing that. Everyone is singing about the same thing. If anyone is singing about, sex, and they're praising sex and how being sexual, and yet it's always just different words to do the same thing. So the content is the same for everyone. It's just a different style and different words that they tend to choose to use. But if you listen to content that is clean content that is edifying, content that builds you up in capacity in terms of your walk with Christ, definitely it's going to change how you view and perceive things. And the same way, you can get into environments, the music that is playing can make you start behaving in a certain way because of the atmosphere. So the way they say atmospheres really matter, I do believe it's a very true thing, the atmosphere you're in. And also, as I was talking about, going into schools, doing high school missions and all of that, we get to sometimes going to a school, and sometimes you find them playing secular music before we go and start speaking to them. And the way they are dancing, the way they are behaving, they're very rowdy, and they're very, when you look at what they're doing and what people are doing in clubs, there's no difference between a student who's in high school and someone who's partying in the club. When you're to high school, they're wearing uniforms and they are still in an environment, but when you are nje wako na your freedom. So, and by the time you're done speaking to them, then the atmosphere is changed to, they change to that atmosphere. You find like, you see everyone, like, it's like everyone is thinking about a lot of things. It's like you're brought back to your senses. Because you see, most of the time, people use music as an escape. And when we choose to use music as an escape, it's either you're escaping for the right reasons or for the wrong reasons, towards the right thing or towards the wrong thing. So it's two ways, just like there's heaven and there's hell. So it's one way or another. It's either you're being drawn to heaven or you're being drawn to hell. So as much as people feel like, at music, it's okay to listen to whatever. I love the beats. That's what I'm listening to. But you see, when you're listening to the beats, you're not just listening to the beats, but you're also feeding your spirit whatever content they're singing about. So I feel like it's very important to be very intentional. You don't have to know every latest song, every hit song. You don't need to be listening to who is called the dopest artist. Because you see, in the end, all of this music people are producing, all of this showbiz business is going to be meaningless. In the end, it's going to be meaningless. And you can't tell me it's normal to push for drugs, yet we know how many people that have been destroyed by drugs, and we are calling that okay. And no one is standing up and saying, you know what, this is actually wrong in truth. And that's the truth. Students, people have been messed up with drugs, but you see, we are normalizing it as being a cool thing. And we need to start changing the narrative too. If you're not drinking or if you're not smoking, you're still cool. So you don't need to get into these things because it's what culture is saying is cool. So even being sober is still cool. So we can't afford to give up on the fight of, changing the mindset of youngings, that it's okay to start off in addiction. It's okay to have some struggles when it comes to all of these things, the music you're listening to. But at the same time, we need to make the conversation very hopeful that there's still hope. So it's going to take a process and a lot of intention for you to change the music you're listening to. And that's, I think, even for me personally, I started by being very aware of what I listen to and not just listening to the beats. I started not paying attention to the words. So I'm like, what exactly am I listening to? Because you see, the beats can hide what the song actually means. Some songs are very occultic, but you're listening to the beats. By the time you even like dancing, you're not even sure what you're dancing about. But when you pay attention to the words, sometimes you might be singing along chants and chanting. You're not even sure about the chants which you're making, because you don't understand that language. And whoever was doing it, maybe it's a chant they were told they have to be using in whatever they're doing so that they can gain influence. And there's this book in Revelation. I think I'll do a video on that separately. It's very interesting. It talks about the way Babylon can give you everything: gold, silver, copper, bronze. It can give you it's called what? It can give you all the things of the world that you desire as a person, all the wealth and everything. And at the same time, it can give you souls of men. And when he talks about souls of men, these are the victims from the music which is being put out that doesn't glorify God. And as you all know, the devil was the greatest artist, the greatest politician. And in the nature of the devil, speaking lies, it's like his nature. Like, you get what I'm saying? The devil is just a liar by nature. So that will never change. It's constant from beginning until the end. So when he says, oh, it's okay to listen to this, you can listen to the beats, but not the music. But at the same time, what are you listening to? Oh, you can chant about this and you're not even sure what you're chanting about. But exactly what are you chanting? Because sometimes you might be signing a deal with the devil from, there's an atmosphere of spirits. So you might be signing a contract verbally and agreeing to things in the spirit world without realizing you're doing so, because you in your head, you're like, I'm only listening and bumping into good music. The beat is dope. But you see, the devil makes everything look dope so that it can entice you. But just because a beat is dope, it doesn't mean that you're supposed to be listening to it. So I feel like people need to be more intentional about the music they're listening to. I even tell people, if they're listening to my old music, to stop listening to my old music. Because honestly, that music was definitely leading you directly to hell if you were listening and agreeing to what I was singing about and living that kind of lifestyle. And like I said, I'll never sugarcoat my truth. And I'll never sugarcoat what I'm saying just because I want to make you guys feel better. I want you guys to grow and become better. And the only reason why I get to do what I'm doing, it's by the grace of God. And the grace of God has been very and truly sufficient. And I'll never stand and lie and speak to you what I want you to believe just because I want to make myself feel better. If it's sin, I'll call it sin. If it's wrong, I'll call it wrong. I'll never sugarcoat that, because remember, the Bible is going to convict you, but at the same time, it's going to help you transform to a different person. The Bible is not here to condemn you, but to convict you. So condemnation is of the devil. So in whatever sin you're struggling with, if you're still listening to secular music, even after this, some of you will still go back to listening to secular music. And I just hope the Holy Spirit can get through to you and help you understand what you're doing. You don't have to be doing. The same way people say it's good to have money, but I don't have to steal to make it in life. So not everything that is good for you. Some people, they are probably doing, like everyone has a reason as to why they're doing whatever. But just because they're doing it doesn't mean that's good for me. Like for me, I can't start, pursuing, what will I say? I'm trying to look for a good example. I can't start doing things which are not even aligned to my purpose because people are doing them. You get what I'm saying? I can't start, pushing content that people are pushing and it's working for them in their channels because people are doing it. I have to be convicted by the Spirit. This is what the Lord is saying. You need to tell my people this. You need to share with them this. This is how I want you to package your content. This is what you're supposed to be speaking. So like I said, I'll always speak truth. I'm very sure a lot of questions will arise from the secular music conversation. But at the same time, I do believe we're going to have more and more conversations surrounding this with different people. And, we just need to be open-minded, but never lie to yourself. Listening to the wrong thing doesn't affect how you react, how you behave, and who you are. Sometimes our identities are stolen just from the smallest things we tend to tolerate as people. And but I do believe, all in all, the Holy Spirit is going to convict you and it's going to help you. But if you're listening to my old music, please stop. Honestly, stop. I just don't have, like I said, I don't have the account information for that channel. Otherwise, I would have deleted all of that music. And I think this is another story for another day, The sweat, the struggle, the late nights, the cries. But I'm like, I'd let that go in a snap. Even in a blink, because I do understand what is of the devil is never going to get me to heaven. And all of us, we're trying to get to heaven. And if you believe there is heaven, definitely you need to also understand there's a hell, because where do the bad people go? Where do the evil people go? We all can't be going to the same destination if we stand for different things. You know, you can't be a good person and an evil person, and all of you are taken into heaven. It will not be fair, and even for God, He will not be. It's called a just. Is it just me? Justful God. Justful God, because we all know that God is just. But anyway, conversation tutafanya siku ingine, tutaendelea with the same conversation, but I hope you guys have gotten to understand this. Secular music does directly affect your relationship with God. There's music when you listen to, you don't even have the energy, or you don't even feel inclined to go back to the space of God, because you feel some type of way, because you're like, whatever you fed yourself has polluted your spirit man, and your spirit man is like, you have pushed him away. But yes, you let me know in the comment section what you think. But otherwise, God bless y'all. You are blessed, you're loved, you're not condemned, and there is a hope, and God can restore, redeem, and do all the nice stuff for you that you want in your life. But let's be intentional with everything that we're doing. So see you in the next video. Bye-bye.